Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tony Hollis Live Talk Show Testify. We got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about some things that are going on in regards to predatory uh, phone rates. I'm referring to our local, state, and sometimes national uh, jail facilities who charge egregious rates, whether they're interstate calls or whether they're intrastate calls. But we're going to talk about that. You all sit tight, and I will be coming back to you to get this show started, okay? So just sit tight, and I shall be back in a little bit, okay? Well, we back, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I want to talk to you all. If you don't, I've been fooling around with my sound, so if you all can't hear me, go ahead and shoot me a text right now. That's what. That's why I'm running a little late. Should have been on around 6:10, but come to find out, I had to play around with my sound system. So I'm going to be looking as well. So if you all can't hear me, shoot me a text, and we can go from there. Okay. But anyway, we're going to get this show started. Again, before I get into the show, I want to just briefly say that I want to send out condolences to those who have lost loved ones. Um, there has been a lot of deaths in Mississippi County. Uh, the Jackson family, I think they had two deaths in a short period of time. Many of you know they just recently buried a child within the Jackson family. I think the child was 12 years old. And before that, many of us know him as Cat Daddy. Um, he passed away. Both are Jacksons. And also, my friend, a good dear friend of mine, Charles Jones, out of Missouri. He used to live in Osceola and Blythe as well. Um, he lost his grandson. Um, Also, the Jarrett family. Um, I know the grandmom, Miss Linda Jarrett, and I want to say the Wilson family. I think it's Martin Wilson, I believe. I know that family, so I know all three families in regards to this sad death of this young man. And of course, we just recently found out that we lost longtime pioneer school teacher, Mr. Clay. Um, that's what I call him, Mr. Clay. Uh, call him Mr. Clay so much, forgot his first name, but I just call him Mr. Clay. Many of you know Mr. Clay, a real gentleman, true educator. Um, he will be missed, I'm sure. And so my condolences to all the families who have lost loved ones. And just one other thing that I wanted to talk about, which is uh, if you have family that has been sitting in jail um, more than 9 months or a year, somewhere in there, it's good and bad. It's good if you're a person who've been wrongfully charged, or in some cases, um, you know, it was might have been self-defense, but you've been in jail for a year or more. Due to the pandemic, they had what is called trolling a speedy trial. That word, I guess I'm pronouncing it right, trolling a speedy trial, which means due to the pandemic, the count stops. It don't count against the state. So in other words, if you feel, for example, this is your 12th month and they hadn't brought you to jail yet, if there has been a order trolling a speedy trial, your time actually has stopped. It does not begin to start running again until the judge lift that order in terms of a speedy trial trolling speedy trial. The bad thing about the speedy trial motion and trolling and all, we have had prosecutors in past times, especially here in the second judicial district. I can think of three cases just right off the bat. Uh, Two was murdered. Uh, well, actually, all three of them was murdered. But two that I know of, one was a police officer in West Memphis. That gentleman had to walk free because of the speedy trial. Wasn't brought to trial in 12 months. And also, um, we had a case here. Matter of fact, blood relative of mine. Many of you know Alan Field. I call him Juke from Osceola. He living out in California now, I believe. Uh, Oklahoma, California, one of those states. But he lost his son. Many of you know him as, y'all call him what? Jiggy, Zizzy. I know him as AJ ever since he was a baby. I held this young man in my arms, as well as my daughter. They used to love to play with AJ. But the sad thing about that case is that it was on the verge of being caught up in a trolling a speedy trial. But somehow or another, I will say the prosecutor was able to get some kind of plea out of that because that man was finna get ready to walk free. He'd been in jail this long and hadn't been brought to trial yet. But they did, the prosecutor, I call her Sonia, uh, she's the one that beat out the other um, people that ran against her, Liddy and a few others. Um, she was able to get some type of jail sentence out of that. This man was facing, I want to say, first degree murder. That was the initial charge, I believe, where he was looking at probably 20 years of life. That man ended up walking with only well, I say walking, he's actually still in jail, but um, I'm just being sarcastic, I guess. But he only received a 5-year sentence for killing AJ. Please, if you have any family members who have been harmed and their killer has been sitting in jail, they keep putting the case off and off and off and off. You need to be making demands to see the prosecutor for him or her to give you a date of when they plan on bringing the killer of your loved one to trial. Some people think long as you don't hear something, that means the case is still pending and everything going well. Not so. This speedy trial um, motion, due to this pandemic and everything, we have had murderers, killers that have walked free. Okay? Prosecutor is just so overloaded. Um, I don't know if he got a schedule, a court schedule docket that he look at, or something is wrong. Something is wrong with uh, our circuit courts to where murderers are walking free because they have not been brought to trial in 1 year. We're going to talk more about that. And please, you all join me. We're going to watch these cases, especially these murder cases. It seemed like to me they so, I don't know, it's just something about drugs. They love to prosecute these drug cases. They put them at the top, it seemed like, as being priority. Whereas you're still waiting for your loved one uh, to receive some justice. And unfortunately, you won't get that is because somehow or another, the prosecutor been so busy on other cases until they either forget it. I wouldn't say it's intentional, but they're not ready to go to court to prosecute the killer uh, who killed your loved one. So please watch that court docket and call that prosecutor office. Worry the hell out of them if you have to, because you need to get justice. Justice means closure. Okay, justice means closure. That's where the healing process begins. But let's talk about accountability. First, let's have this trial. Let's get a conviction. That's the accountability. When the person is convicted, now comes the healing, where you're on the road to having some closure. So watch that court docket, okay? Uh, but anyway, we're going to talk about predatory. Uh, I had it up here somewhere. Um, Let me go find it. I had it up here somewhere. Predatory phone uh, rates by the county jail. Now, it's not just the county jail here in Mississippi County. This thing is going on all across the country. But if you look at the dirty South, when I say dirty South, I mean in most of your southern states, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, Alabama. Arkansas has one of the highest, you hear me? Arkansas have one of the highest uh, interstate rates in the South. Matter of fact, in the country. At one point, Arkansas, and I'm getting this information from, uh, let me put it up here for you. The sources that I've been researching this information from, those are my sources right there. Let me go back. Those are my sources, which are, you can either go to phonejustice.org. If that link don't work, you can go to prisonpolicy.org. They actually have some good information there that they can give you in terms of what are the costs per state in terms of their interstate or intrastate uh, phone rates. When I'm speaking of interstate is those collect calls long distance or whatever. That's T-E-R, interstate. But intrastates are within the boundary lines of Arkansas. You know, you're calling within state, okay? But just for the intrastate calls, TRA, Arkansas at one point had something like, I want to say it was $4.80. I want to say that was interstate, I believe. But I have information from this website that I have up now to where Arkansas is right at $3 and I had it here. $3. I want to say $3.10. I got it somewhere here. That's the last feed that I saw, and Arkansas still is the highest uh, provider in terms of these companies that they contract out with that charge these ridiculous rates to the families, not the inmates. The inmates in jail, they ain't got no job, they can't pay no bill. Okay, all of these, and somebody may say, well, they shouldn't have did X, Y, Z. The families are the one that is paying this money. Many of you know that one of the things that are talked about so much in terms of trying to help this inmate, uh, redeem him or herself. One of the things that is always talked about is visitation. Visitation uh, keeps them encouraged, give them hope that when they come out, the family is still going to be there for them. Family is yet supporting them. And so visitation is very, very important, number one. And if the family lives distance wise or they don't have transportation, then for the most part, they have to use telephones or they have to use this video type communication that they have. All right. So, and I'm going to show you a number I only got 20, 21, and 22. I wanted to know exactly who are the companies that the Mississippi County Jail are contracting out with, and exactly how much money have they made per year in terms of kickbacks. Okay, that's what I asked them. How much money have they made in terms of kickbacks? So that's what we're going to be talking about. And I want to show you this number before we get further down the road. Okay. Uh, but first of all, I want to show you this number. This is the number right here that they brought in total. These are total dollars. Okay. $142,332,000. That's a total kickbacks to the Mississippi County Jail. This is for the years of 20, I want to say 21 and 22, what I asked for. Let's go to that uh that screen and I can show it to you, all right? Uh Let me pull that up right now and hopefully you all can follow me on this chart here. Let's go up here to this chart. I'm hoping that you all can see that. This is an FOI that I did. This is the name of, it's three pieces of information that I asked it for. I asked it for exactly who were they contracted out with in terms of the phone calls. I also asked them who were they contracted out with in terms of, sending letters and email, pictures, video visits, and all that type of thing. Uh, as you can see, I hope you can see, turn your phone landscape. That's a company called Smart Communication. That's who they contract out with them. And also, for, your snacks, your clothing, hygiene, deodorant, toothpaste, that type of thing. Uh, the company here is called Tiger Commission Commissary, excuse me, commissary. We call it commissary. Snacks, clothing, and hygiene. So those are the three companies that they contract out with. You see those dollars there? I added up everything from 2021 to 2022. Just these three companies right here for 2021 and 2022. The Mississippi County Jail brought in, uh, what was that figure I told you? Um, Let me go back. Let me move this first. That figure I told you was 142,322. Those are kickbacks. So before I get going any further, I want to know something. Oh, we can hear you. You almost scared me. Thank you, Mrs. Barnes. Um, I said I don't talk all this long and can't nobody hear me, but I thank you very much. Miss Barnes said that we can hear you. All right, thanks a lot. Uh, but anyway, so what do you think about that? I did reach out to the Mississippi County uh, Sheriff Department, and I talked to Major Rob. Just wanted to know if he or someone from the Mississippi County Sheriff Department would like to either call in or come on the show. Hopefully, they are listening or looking now, and we will hope that they would at least call in to explain why are these kickbacks necessary. That's the first thing. Two, are these kickbacks, are they fair? And last, should the Mississippi County Jail be profiting off the poor? Because many of these families don't have a lot of money. I didn't say the inmates. The inmates ain't got no money. These phone calls, these irate bills, telephone bills, these are calls that are being taken by family members, and for the most part, because the family wants to stay contacted in contact with the loved ones who haven't been adjudicated yet, or shall I say, who hadn't went to trial yet. Most of these people are waiting at the county jail to go to trial. They hadn't been convicted. There are some down there that will tell you they've been falsely accused. Then there's other who've been that are sitting at the county jail, you know, a victim by association, you know, hanging out with somebody that uh, they probably shouldn't have been hanging out with. And so there's a whole lot of reasons why everybody, uh, why some, excuse me, not everybody, why some of these inmates down at the Mississippi County Jail, all of them have not committed murder. Okay, most of them may be sitting down there. If it's if the Blythe Police Department still does that, or Osceola, or some of the other municipalities, you got some of these inmates sitting down there for misdemeanor charges, maybe old fines or stuff like that. You know, don't have any what you call hard criminal acts that they have committed. And so, uh, receiving a visit or a phone call is very important to that inmate. Okay, and again, the inmate are not paying this money. It is the families who paying the money. Okay, so you all can talk back to me if you like. You can call in. That's my number scrolling at the top, 870 740 1515, Mississippi County Sheriff Department. Uh, I got my phone on, waiting to hear from you, waiting to hear from anybody from the Mississippi County Sheriff Department. Um, you know, this money, this $142,000 for just those 2 years. Um, can you justify that money? Why is it needed? Is it fair? Okay. Should the county jail even be in the business of profiting off the poor? Poor families, what I'm talking about. Inmates are not paying this money. It's the families. And for some time, in many cases, they may have to uh, get a extension on the light bill or the gas bill, water bill. In some cases, the rent, only because they're trying to stay in contact with their loved ones who are at the county jail. And it's the families are the one that are suffering. And I'm going to talk to you all about there is a law that President Biden signed into law. Uh, that's where I'm going to move at. And once I move to this law, I'm going to come back. And if we have any phone calls, we'll take them. If we don't have any phone calls, then I'm going to conclude the show. Okay. But I want to show you all something. There's a law that was passed. And please do Google this law, read about it, talk about it, share it with your families, share it with the inmates who may be in jail, share it with them as well. Okay. But again, uh, for those of you who wasn't looking on it first, this is the one of the sources that I collected this information from, phonejustice.org. If that web link don't work, then try the next, prisonpolicy.org. Okay, you can read and get a lot of information from that website. All right. Now, what the let me find it. And I want to say what the FCC, that's the federal what's that, Federal Communication Commission, that's what I want to say it is, Federal Communication Commission. We call it FCC. Now, what they did is this year, the Federal Communication Commission regulation to go into effect no later. Uh, I thought somebody was trying to call me. Give me a minute. I don't see nothing. Was to go into effect no earlier than 18 months and no later than 24 months after the date of enactment. Okay, what am I talking about? President Biden signed a law, uh, an act that is into law, and I want to go up here and show you what that law was. Let me find it. That law it's called uh, it's called the Martha Wright Reed Just and Reasonable Communication Act of 2022. Signed it into law by President Biden January the 5th, 2023. So help is on the way, you all. Help is on the way. Uh, this Martha Wright Reed Just and Reasonable Communication Act of 2022, signed it into law by President Biden January the 5th, 2023. To give you a little background from what I understand about why this act was named in Martha Wright Reed honor. This is a family, Martha Wright Reed, to where uh, this person had family members who was incarcerated, and they was paying uh, irate, egregious uh, phone rates to the local prison or jail facility. And so Miss Martha Wright, she petitioned. Um, I imagine, I don't know if it was the court or her legislator or representative, but she wanted some rulemaking in regards to having the FCC to regulate the communication. In this particular case, we're talking about telephone calls. And so that was a back and forth that went to court, um, put on, put off, because they said that the FCC overstepped its jurisdiction, its powers, its authority, or what have you. And so it went back and forth to eventually um, Senator Tammy Duckworth, I think, who was very instrumental in getting this thing passed. But they brought it back up, put it on the floor of Congress. It passed, um, and President Biden signed it into law on I want to say January the 5th. No, there you go, right there. January the 5th is when this act was signed into law. Okay, so there is help on the way. The reason I say that there is help on the way, like I said, this piece of legislation was only signed just this year, 5 months ago. Okay, 5 6 months ago, whatever. And this act or this law is to go into effect 18 months when it was enacted. In other words, when they passed it, when they passed this piece of legislation, uh, as early as 18 months, but no later than 24 months, this law is supposed to go into effect. It's supposed to give um, inmates' family, it's supposed to give them a lot of relief. I think right now, for I want to say interstate calls, I think it's like 21 cents per minute. That's what it is now. That's the max. That's the cap on it. When you're calling out of state, collect calls or whatever, I think it's 21 cent per minute, and then they got something like a prepaid card. I think it's 2 more cents. They can go up. I think it's like 25 cents. Uh, for those calls. But anyway, uh, help is on the way. That is the act that was signed into law by President Biden. So to the families who've been paying these ridiculous, egregious, uh, predatory uh, rates, help is on the way. I know it gives you no type of break now, but one thing we can do, since we know that help is on the way, we can petition the Mississippi County Sheriff Department and any local jail facility. We can petition them to sign on with a company who will be fair to families of inmates. In other words, uh, providing a service for a reasonable and a just rate, okay, and not be greedy, um, trying to get rich off the backs of poor families. All right. Um, was there anything else I got to say over here before I go? Y'all talk to me now. People, talk to me. Um, I got that, got that, I got that. Like I don't get everything, y'all. And like I say, these regulations also, we're not just talking about phone calls, okay? We're talking about not just audio, telephone calls, cell phone calls, whatever, any video communication services used by inmates for the purpose of communication with individuals outside the correction institution where the inmate is held regardless of technology use. Now, it's one thing that we hadn't talked about where these phone companies are set up as well. The nursing home. Remember how we was involved with the pandemic to where families couldn't go and visit their loved ones who were at the various nursing facilities, and then they had to go to audio, but most of them went with this visual or this video communication where they can physically, they get a picture. You can see them and they can see you as you talk, pretty much like being on a computer, and so, and I'm pretty sure that was pretty expensive. So that is also considered in this Malta Right Read Act on the communications, reasonable and just rates. Okay. And so not just the nursing homes, but you get these living-in facilities to where they may have a phone system set up. Okay. Juveniles, I think juvenile calls should be free. I do, juveniles. And so, and that is another thing to consider. And so these providers, these phone companies, they find in just about any um business that they can petition to set up some type of contracts with them for audio and video communications services. And so those people who have a disability, you know, who may can't uh, speak, you know, um, there's also services for them. They even get, I don't have it up here, there's also websites to where you can go and get help for that. You know, what is in place for those with disabilities, whether they got a speech or a hearing impaired problem. So they have services um, for those individuals as well. Okay. We about down at the bottom, y'all. I'm getting ready to shut it down. If you all don't got any um, questions or what have you, I'm getting ready to shut it down. Um, I'm trying to go back and see was there anything else that I needed to cover before I get off. Um, I'm looking at my banner now. That's what I'm doing. Um, but it don't seem that I have anything else that I need to bring before you all. Again, for those of you who are just tuning in, there are help is on the way. Again, this is the bill that was signed into law by President Biden, the Martha Wright Reed Just and Reasonable Communication Act of 2022 is when uh, this bill was enacted and signed it into law by President Biden January the 5th, 2023. So that's what we're talking about, trying to give some relief to those families who paying these ridiculous um, phone bills to these providers. And one of the things that the FCC has stated is that, see, these companies, um, they want to go with the highest phone company that would give them the highest what? kickback. You know, for example, you know, just like for these 2 years just showed you $142,000 for those 2 years alone. I'm pretty sure there are there is competition out there. Whether you're talking about telephone, video communication, whether you're talking about uh, sending letters, emails, that type of thing, that's another uh, contract that they have. And also, what was it? Hygiene, deodorant, toothpaste, that type of thing. There are companies out there that we know that can compete with the companies that Mississippi County Sheriff Department is contracted with. They're not choosing these companies for the best interest of the public. In other words, the families who paying these bills. These jail facilities are not going into any type of contract agreement with any company that will not give them the best rate in terms of kickbacks. If the kickbacks is not don't meet their expectation, let's just say for 2023, let's just say they don't up the ante. Instead of the $142,000 they made the past 2 years, what if the goal is to do 200,000 or 300,000? And this company cannot deliver because this company has to spend some money to make that happen, or whatever, the company has to do. So I imagine companies like the Mississippi County Jail, which is a government operation, taxpayers, I imagine that they'll look for another contractor. It's all about making money off the poor. If that's not so, I'm speaking to the Mississippi County Sheriff Department or any other jail facility. I need for you to come on to speak to the people, to explain to the people why you believe it's okay for you to make money off the backs of poor families. We need to hear from you. Okay? So there is competition out there, whether no matter what service you're providing. But the jail facilities, they're choosing what's in the best interest for them financially, and not so much being concerned with what families have to pay out in order to keep some open communication with their families who are incarcerated. I think that's all I have, ladies and gentlemen. That's about all I wanted to give you all. I'm doing real good on time. That's about all I wanted to give you all. Um, I don't have anything else that I need to bring before you all. Um, so if you all have anything uh, that you would like to speak about, we do have uh, the school situation that is going on. And yeah, while I'm speaking of schools, I want to say this here to the schools who are in Mississippi County. You know, I want to say this here, and y'all hear me when I say this to the schools. Uh, you're in a situation right now. I'm talking to the Mississippi County schools. You're in a situation right now to where you can very well your school can be in a situation of being threatened to be taken over. Elaine School District is one of the last schools who was just took over by the government, Arkansas Department of Education. I don't know what level that school was in. I don't know. Is it how many levels is it before they actually come? Is it five levels? I want to say Osceola and Blava. I want to say one, if not both, of our school districts are probably at level 4. I'm just being, I'm giving them a break. If there is 5 levels, I'm saying they probably at level 4. And if they don't get their act together, uh, trying to do some things, uh, to get those test scores up, uh, we're a block away from probably the Arkansas Department of Education taking a vote. We got a new governor now, uh, Sandra Huckabee Sanders. She's not playing. That's what she ran on, education. That is what she ran on. She talking about giving teachers, starting them out at $50,000. But I don't think the taxpayers would be happy paying school teachers $50,000. And you already know what the administrators are making. They're making probably right at 6 figures now, or a high 5 figure. Governor Sanders is not going to be kicking money out to failing school districts. Y'all need to understand that. She's not going to be kicking out money to failing school districts. When you lose your schools, as one say, you lose your schools, so goes your community. That's all I have to say. Blava, Osceola. I'm talking to the concerned parents, concerned taxpayers. Who cares? You need to start attending these school board meetings, calling your school board rep, and getting real nosy in terms of where are we. It's the superintendent's job, working with the school board, to set the plan of bringing us into a position to where our students are proficient. The grades are improving. We need to start seeing that bar move up for its grades, uh, school improvement picking up. We can't continue to see that downtrend, because what happened to Elaine School District just what was it, last week, this past week? What happened to them can very well happen to Blount and Osceola, 2 biggest cities in Mississippi County, and both school districts are failing. That's all I have, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have anything more to say. I did good on time, look like. And so I'm finna go ahead and sign off. Don't see any comments over here. And so you all catch me again, unless I run a special program. A special program, a special broadcast. Unless I run a special broadcast, you won't see me anymore until next Sunday. Next Sunday is when uh, I'll be coming back on, and then uh, we'll go ahead and roll with that. Who knows what we're going to be talking about next Sunday? It's about 2 topics that I have, and I'm probably going to have to make a decision as to which of the 2 topics that I'm going to cover for next Sunday. But in either way, or either topic that I choose, I think you'd be very interested to want to sit and listen. Uh, but again, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you all. And again, if I don't have any comments, I'm going back to my board once more. And if I don't have any comments, which I don't, I'm getting ready to go ahead and conclude this show. And so I want to say peace and love. May God bless, and may God keep you. until we see each other the the next time on the Tony Hollis Live Talk Show Testify. I'm over here hitting buttons, hitting the wrong button, but I'm getting ready to get out of here, you all. And so you all come back next week and join me again. Tony Hollis Live Talk Show Testify. I'm sure many of you have things that you want to get back to. The day is still young and you still have time. So enjoy the remainder of your day. And I want to say, God bless.